Hello, my earthling peeps out there, and my benevolent non-human beings out there. If you're watching this, welcome, welcome, welcome. Today's video is not a message like I usually give. This is more about the crazy experiences I've had this past week. Things have been amped up. That's all I can say. For those who know about my experience, this won't be new to you. About my history with experiences and being an intuitive. Also the fact that I do remote viewing as well as psychometry. Psychometry probably a little more than remote viewing. Just being very, very sensitive. I have from, since the earliest I remember of my childhood, constantly having experiences. Even today, constantly having experiences, even if there are more, some of them are a lot more subtle. I could never tell you what it's like to have an actual normal night's sleep. I have requested many times not to be disturbed, and I believe that it's not intentional. I'm just like, my soul or whatever is so sensitive to energy shifts that a spirit or an ET or whatever could be passing by, possibly through my room or whatever, and will unknowingly, it'll disturb me, and boom, I'm awake. So it's like I'm awake several times a night. Unfortunately, I mean, I go right back to sleep, so I am getting my rest, so nobody worry. This is not unusual for me. But activities, paranormal and extraterrestrial activity, it's all amped up for me lately. So I find that very interesting, and I know I'm not the only one that's having an increase. Others are having an increase too. The veil, I believe, is thinning more, right? So, which we all know that is definitely something that we believe is going on. So, here's what happened. This past week, I was away. I was at a retreat for my daughter's youth group, and I was one of the chaperones. And while I was there, 3 of the nights I was there. Now, I have mentioned to people many times and in other videos that I have also sleep paralysis episodes, and I've had those since I was a baby, pretty much. And but it's usually I'll only have like one a month, right? And this past week, 3 nights. 2 of them 2 nights in a row, and then one night there was a night where I didn't have it, and then so I had an in-between night where I was somewhat normal sleep. And then the next night I had another sleep paralysis episode. And usually when I have these episodes, I don't get, like, people see like what they call the Hat Man or the witch or something. For me, I always see ETs. So I always see like the Greys or something, you know, or the blue light beings. Was it the blue light? No, sorry, the blue light beings wasn't during sleep paralysis, I don't think. But different beings I've seen during my sleep paralysis episodes that were always ETs. There was like no doubt it was ETs. I mean, that I saw. But what happened was sometimes they will appear to you as looking like someone you know, maybe to be less frightening. Because see, the thing is that not all sleep paralysis episodes, as frightening as they might seem, some of them are actually from my understanding, can help with maybe something that either might need healing in your body, or maybe they are trying to help with something to do with your vibration or something, tweak a little bit. Anyways, they have been known to increase people's sensitivity intuitively and that. So, and to me, I see that as a plus. As much as I hate sleep paralysis events, sometimes it is the safety reason is for so that you don't harm yourself or others. So they have to put you in this paralysis state. Now, some people might disagree and think that they're all negative, but I don't exactly think they're negative, because I've had the ones where if it seemed overpowering and I started to, right away, I've been able to wake up from it. You know, it's not, I don't put it, because I'm not exactly asleep, because like I can literally see my room or wherever, I can literally see everything. So I'm just paralyzed. This last one, though, was very strange. It was 3 different nights, and I woke up, and but I wasn't awake to where I could move. And on the 3rd night that it happened, like I was saying, sometimes maybe because they don't want you to freak out or whatever, which I don't know why with me. I mean, I'm used to and yeah, used to seeing things that don't look human, I guess you could say, because they've happened so much in my paralysis episodes. But for some reason, I don't know, but it had the appearance of my mother, but my mother was not on this retreat, okay? And it looked like her, but it didn't. And just standing over me, looking down on me, I could see the whole room, because we were sleeping in this music room. We were at staying at a school, and we were the women chaperones. We were all together in sleeping in a music room, you know, our little air mattresses. So I could see everybody else on their air mattress laying down. I could see all that. I could see the music room, but I could see what looked like. But what didn't look like, my mother standing over me, no expression, just like that, right? And I believe that that was a gray, for whatever reason, maybe to make my sleep paralysis a little less traumatic. I don't know. Appeared as my mother, but actually I would have rather seen as the gray, not as my mother. No offense to my mom. I love my mom, but you know, I would have rather just seen the straight up ET, right? So for whatever reason, that was what it appeared to me as. And I'm like, okay, I don't like this. I don't like being, I know you're doing whatever you need to, but come on, this is the 3rd night now, and I would really like to just, you know, not have another paralysis event, because I've already had 2 this week. So, and then finally it just stopped, and I was able to wake up. Here's the other weird thing that happened, though. During the time while I was away at a retreat, I have a security cam set up at home and in my room, and I put it up for various reasons, and that I don't really want to get into, but I have other reasons why I put the security cam up. And one was, you know, just out of curiosity, because I've always got activity going on. I know it. So this particular night, though, was really wild, because I wasn't there. And yet, in my room, on the security cam, all of a sudden I see a huge white orb, and it just comes from under my window of my bedroom, my side window, and just goes real quickly, and I mean, not so quickly that you couldn't see it. It's very, very visible. Just goes right across my room. And so you see this on the security cam footage. And so that is, I'm making this video right now, but I am having help from Shams, who is going to put up, Shams is my other half, by the way, who's going to put a side-by-side so you can actually see the video while I'm explaining all that to you. So yeah, I found that very interesting that this happens while I'm away, and while I'm away I'm having sleep paralysis events. Then I'm done with the retreat, right? And then Saturday night, excuse me, I go to a CE5 event. And for those of you who don't know what a CE5 is, it's basically what Stephen Greer, if you've heard of, I don't know if you've heard of Stephen Greer, those of you who aren't familiar with him, he is very involved with ETs, UFOs, that kind of thing. And it's a little thing where he created ways, I guess it was him that created it, where you can make contact with ETs if you want that connection with benevolent. Make sure you always do protection, right? And we do. Where I go, my friend Aurora, she joins with me, and we go to somebody that hosts CE5 events. And this event, whoa! Probably the most wild CE5 event I've ever been to so far with activity. It was just off the charts of stuff we were seeing in the sky. We would have several things all at once appearing in the sky, moving in different directions, or like moving in different directions, but they weren't planes and they weren't satellites, because they had either a strange moving pattern or they would stop and then suddenly start moving again. I mean, it was just crazy. One of our friends from the CE5, we took a picture. There was an imprint of a face on her towel, and was like, what is that? That was wild. That looked very ET like. So it was just, I was like, okay. Now it could be that I'm not going to give away because it's her story, but my friend Aurora invited someone to be there with us, someone not here, okay, not in a human form or whatever, a good, always benevolent. You know, we don't invite anything, we don't want anything dark, right? No, we're all about light, love, you know, compassion and all that. But anyways, and I invited someone I've been in contact with, channeling with, and yeah, so it got we had the most wild activity night. And but then there were some others that shown up, and I don't want to speak, you know, I feel like they weren't quite on the same page with stuff, and so because of that, and they were new and I wasn't used to them, that it kind of threw my energy off a little bit. I was like real excited, but I also felt there was something strange, and I can't pinpoint it. But after the CE5, my mind all of a sudden, because of whatever kind of energy that these new people brought, and I'm not saying they brought it intentionally, but something was off, and so my mind felt weird after. Not scared or freaked out and that, just weird, like I had trouble keeping my thoughts together, and I mean, it was late, but usually when I've been at these CE5s, I'm usually so pumped up, you know, when I'm leaving and that. But this one was just unusual, and I was like, something just seemed weird, and I couldn't seem to focus after the event. And I left this item and that item, and then I had to keep going back to, you know, because like we were headed to the car, and I rode with my friend Aurora, and then I was like, oh crap, I'm sorry Aurora, I forgot this, and I have to go back and get that. And then the last thing that was left was my phone, and it was in the same spot I left it. Nobody had touched it, nothing like that, you know, you could see. And it's our friends that were there. The people that I kind of had the uncertain thing about were they had left before I left and all that. So the only ones that were behind were my friends that I know, who I've known. And so I know nobody touched my phone, and they wouldn't do that. you know, they're people that I know very well, and they would have no reason to. So anyways, we get in the car. Oh, and before that happened, one of my friends, she was so fascinated with the video, she said, can you please text me that video? I would love to have a copy of it, you know, send it in my text messages, because I don't use social media. So I said, okay. So I sent her a copy of it, and she messaged me back later and said, thank you for this, okay? But then this other, oh, this is weird. As I'm talking to you, a dragonfly landed on the fan cord. I don't know if you can see this. Let me see if you can see, wait, do I have that right? But there's a dragonfly over there. Anyways, but it had landed on the cord when I'm sitting here talking about this. Okay, I don't know if you saw it, because I'll have to see the video after. Anywho, I get this message later. It was just emojis, and it was from a phone number without a name or nothing. It was in my text messages, and I was like, who is this? You know, this is weird. And I thought, at first I didn't really think anything of it. I thought, okay, maybe it's somebody, one of my friends, that I forgot to put their name in for their contact, so just coming up the number. But then when I the next day came, and well, here's the thing, I said, who is this? And that because the emojis were a spaceship, a heart, what was the other thing, stars, I think, was another one of the emojis, and that, and big smiley face or whatever. And so then I at first thought it was maybe my friend, and she needed that video. And then I remembered, I was like, no, wait a minute, I just sent her it, and it was a complete different number. And I was like, look, and I was like, yeah, here's the text of where I sent her and that. So who in the world is this? And then so I asked this whoever and said, I really apologize, but I don't remember who you are. I said, I've got your number, but I don't seem to remember who you are. Could you please let me know? And it sent more emojis this time with an alien head, I think I said, and a spaceship, and another heart or something like that, and then a prayer thing, right? And so I was like, okay, and I'm like, okay, this, whoever they are, they're being a jokester with me, with this person or whatever is being a jokester with me. And as I'm still along these lines thinking that it's, you know, just a person, right? A human. Okay, right? Okay, I know what you're probably thinking. Oh yeah, like it's gonna be something else. Well, here we go, right? And for me, weird is not unusual for me. Have the craziest stuff happen, I swear. Then I was kind of getting a little bothered, and I was like, okay, is this such and such or such and such? I'm not going to say what names because I'm respecting privacy here. And so I started naming off names, and then once again, it didn't respond with any words. It put more emojis. No, this time it put a laughing emoji. And now I was getting kind of pissed, because I'm like, okay, this is annoying now. You know, I was like, if this is one of my friends, it's not cool, you know? So I was like, okay, now you're kind of crossing the line here, because now we're talking the next day, and it's still not responding with any words or anything, just putting emojis. And the laughing emoji that really got under my skin, because I was like, okay. And then I thought about it, and I was like, I know for a fact I don't have any friends that would do that. Because then I started, you know, my mind was a lot clearer in that, and I'm like, none of my friends, I know my friends, and I'm not like a teenager, and they're not teenagers. We're talking grown people here, you know, middle-aged and beyond middle-age, who I have as friends. And so, and they wouldn't act like that. They would have told me, hey, this is so and so, you know, oh, I'm sorry, or so and so. And then when I looked at my contact list, I realized that I didn't have any phone number that went to any of my friends with this number. And this particular phone number, so I decided, I went on ChatGPT and mentioned about it. And ChatGPT suggested that I give kind of a kind but stern message, just in case it's a friend, and tell them, look, you know, I really need to know who this is, because if not, I'm just going to go ahead and block you. And I finally, after ChatGPT said that, I decided, I was like, you know what, I'm not going to even, I really do not believe this is any friend of mine, and that I'm just going to block the number. So what I did was I blocked it. And what happened next was really weird, because when you block, okay, it doesn't delete it, okay? You have a box on there where I have Android, right? To where you can make sure you can block without deleting, okay? And that's what I did. Block, but do not delete. So I had that window open. And then while being open, I went over to another window of my messenger, and I was talking to my friend Aurora. And when I got done talking to her, because I was telling her what was happening and how it's kind of starting to creep me out a bit, you know, like I wasn't scared, but it did give me a very kind of unsettled feeling. And so then I was like, okay. So I went back and went over to the chat, and when I did, because I thought, well, I'll take a picture of it, I couldn't. Right before my eyes, it just deleted itself. And I was like, what just happened here? I had not touched anything or nothing, and it just literally deleted itself. Deleted the whole conversation. Now, when I was talking with ChatGPT, and just out of curiosity, I said, you know, I explained that I blocked it, and then it just deleted itself. And the answer it gave me was that it's not, that is not, Androids and that are not set up to where they can just turn around and delete something that you did not specifically click on to make sure it was deleted, or say you wanted it deleted. It does not, that is not in its realm of things or whatever, that it can do that. You know, it can't just, if you, unless you deliberately put delete, it cannot delete something. And this thing had deleted itself. And then what tripped me out was ChatGPT was saying, because I was like, could a non-human entity, I was just curious, can a non-human entity be capable of something like this? And I was blown away, because now I'm not saying that ChatGPT is all 100%, you know, that this is, but I did find it interesting, because its reply back was that it was very possible that a non-human entity could have been the one that sent me the messages without the words. And it said, but the key thing here is that if it was benevolent, and that after me blocking it, it would not have gone and deleted itself. It felt very strongly that whatever decided to infiltrate, I guess that's where, or invade my, you know, because that felt invasive, right? It deleted itself. Now, like I said, that night, while there was all this positive energy in that, some new guests, and like I said, I don't think, I'm not saying that it was intentional on their part in that, but they're, you know, who knows if they might have gone through, one of them might have gone through something earlier that maybe, it only takes like one event, maybe someone got pissed off or something at some point, before they came, and that if there was any kind of residing or residual, not residing, residual lingering energy from that, and they brought that with them to that CE5 event. When I talked to ChatGPT about that, it said yes, it could open the door for other things. So I just want to make that clear, because we always try, when we do these CE5 events, it's all based on, you know, being positive and love and light and compassion, while also being in a protective bubble, asking for through the divine creator and our guides, that we will only connect with those who are for our best and highest good. So I want that to be clear, that's what we do. But it only takes somebody, say, who maybe, and I'm not saying intentional again, but maybe could have had some doubts or some negative feelings or whatever, and that carried on through. And I guess the reason why I've got, it's not the first time, but I guess from what ChatGPT said, it's not uncommon, for starters, for these kind of things to happen. People have had things where their phones suddenly, you know, especially if a person is very sensitive to things, has had strange things like what I had happen. And it's going to go where it feels like a very strong vibration, and apparently my vibration must have been very strong that night, and so I was the one that it went for, because the way ChatGPT said it is that I'm like a beacon, and so that's going to go wherever it sees the brightest light. I guess that's what it's saying. I do know that I have been told, and it comes from my mom's side of the family. My mom's had history with UFOs and seeing that, and my mom is the biggest skeptic out there, okay? But now I've been learning more things my mother had not been voicing about her other experiences with seeing stuff in the skies and that, besides that huge mothership she saw. So, and a psychic had told my brother many years ago that it comes from my mom's side of the family, and we just, you know, have stuff on our family. I seem to have the most events out of everybody in my family, but we just I have been told by different psychics and stuff through the years, they've said that I'm a magnet, so I always need to make sure I protect myself, because I'll always have stuff, you know, that always having things coming around me. In fact, I had one lady who said to me, she says, I'm surprised you're not constantly seeing them with your physical eyes, because you're just like got so many things around you, so many beings. She said, a lot of protection, you know, you also got a lot of protection around you. But she said, you know, so I don't know. Anyways, that's my story. I'm gonna cut it now because it's kind of getting too long here, and I didn't mean to do such a long video, but I just want to share that. But another thing that's weird is I've had physical manifestations of things too. For instance, my watch story. This watch appeared in my handbag out of nowhere. It was a completely empty handbag, and when I did some psychometry on it, I picked up and I found who I don't know if it belonged to, but they were connected to it. And it really tripped me out, because I had picked up this man in the military, and that, having no idea. Then my friend Aurora decided to put the serial number of the watch in the, did some research on it, and the particular serial number, it meant, I couldn't believe how accurate my prediction was, that it was connected to someone in the military, because this particular watch, while it looks common in that, the numbers on the back engraved said that it was while it is a common watch, it's also not common in the fact that it's only usually, it said it's only connected, you can only get it through the military. So there you go. I was like, whoa. Anyways, that's a whole nother story. It's on one of our other videos, so if you want to see more about that, you can find that in one of our podcast episodes that's on Third Eye Sister Souls, our Facebook page, and you can watch that. All right, I'm at 30 minutes now. Take care, guys. Love you. And have an amazing, wonderful day, evening, whatever. Bye, guys.